14,000 children vanished from Cuba. Their parents never knew if they'd return. It was November 1960. The Cuban Revolution, barely 2 years old, was rapidly reshaping the island nation. Fidel Castro's government consolidated power, aligning with the Soviet Union and pushing against everything the old regime represented. For many Cuban families, the future looked bleak, uncertain, and increasingly dangerous. Middle and upper-class Cubans, in particular, felt the squeeze. Businesses were nationalized, private property confiscated, and political dissidents rounded up. The once vibrant, cosmopolitan streets of Havana began to lose their luster, replaced by an atmosphere of fear and suspicion. Among the most potent weapons wielded by the new regime was propaganda, specifically targeting children. Schools became indoctrination centers. Parents watched, horrified, as their kids were taught to denounce capitalist ideals and even their own families for the greater good of the revolution. Then came the rumors. Whispers spread that the Cuban government intended to strip parents of their patria potestad parental authority. The state would seize control of all children, placing them in government-run schools and communes, severing family ties permanently. It was a terrifying prospect. These fears, whether fully founded or exacerbated by Cold War anxieties, fueled a desperate search for solutions. Parents, desperate to protect their children from what they saw as an encroaching totalitarian state, began seeking any means of escape. The United States, just 90 miles away, seemed their only hope. Enter Monsignor Brian O. Walsh, a quiet, determined Irish priest working for the Catholic Welfare Bureau in Miami. He was already overwhelmed, dealing with the influx of Cuban refugees, but the stories of children facing state seizure stirred him deeply. He knew he had to act. Walsh, with the backing of the U.S. State Department and the CIA, began to organize what would become Operation Pedro Pan Peter Pan. The name, evoking the boy who never grew up, was a fitting, if bittersweet, metaphor for the children who would be sent on a journey without their parents. The plan was audacious: airlift thousands of Cuban children, unaccompanied, to the United States. It was a top-secret operation, cloaked in layers of plausible deniability. The goal was to remove children from Cuba, protect them from indoctrination, and eventually reunite them with their families. The logistical challenges were immense. First, getting exit visas from the Cuban government was nearly impossible. A clandestine network of priests, teachers, and resistance fighters began forging documents and securing legitimate, albeit rare, permits for children to leave. Then came the issue of sponsorship. The U.S. government couldn't directly fund the housing of these children without public outcry or appearing to meddle in Cuban affairs. So, a network of Catholic charities across 35 states stepped up, offering homes, schools, and temporary guardianship. The parents in Cuba faced an agonizing decision: send their child alone to a foreign land, not knowing when or if they would ever see them again, or keep them in Cuba under the tightening grip of the revolution. For many, the choice, however painful, was clear. Each child carried a small suitcase, a change of clothes, perhaps a beloved toy, and a tag around their neck with their name and destination. They were told to be brave, to remember their family, and to trust the strangers who would guide them to safety. The flights, mostly commercial airliners, departed from Havana's José Martí International Airport. The atmosphere was a mix of quiet desperation and hushed hope. Parents offered final, tearful goodbyes, their hearts heavy with the weight of their sacrifice. Upon arrival in Miami, the children were met by Monsignor Walsh and his team. Many were disoriented, frightened, speaking only Spanish in a bewildering new country. They were processed, given food, and then quickly dispersed to temporary shelters or directly to their sponsors. The operation ran from December 1960 to October 1962, abruptly ending with the Cuban Missile Crisis. For nearly 2 years, a steady stream of children, some as young as 5, flowed from Cuba to the United States. The total number reached an astonishing 14,048. These children, the Pedro Pans, found themselves in a strange new world. Some were placed with relatives, others with complete strangers. Many ended up in camps and orphanages, effectively becoming wards of the state, often without knowing when or if their parents would ever join them. The separation lasted years for many. The Cuban Missile Crisis sealed the borders, making travel almost impossible. Families were cleaved apart, entire childhoods spent in different countries, separated by ideology and a Cold War that showed no signs of thawing. The parents who remained in Cuba endured unimaginable hardship. They faced accusations of disloyalty, lived under constant surveillance, and carried the profound ache of their children's absence. Their sacrifice, however, was for freedom, a concept they held dearer than anything. When the borders finally reopened, albeit briefly, in the mid-1960s, through what were known as the Freedom Flights, thousands of parents finally made their way to the U.S. The reunions were often bittersweet, marked by joy and the quiet acknowledgement of lost time. Many of the Pedro Pan children went on to achieve remarkable success in their adopted country. They became doctors, lawyers, politicians, and artists, contributing significantly to American society. Their story is a testament to resilience, adaptation, and the enduring human spirit. Operation Pedro Pan remains the largest unaccompanied child exodus in the Western Hemisphere. It was a secret airlift, a desperate gamble, and a profound act of parental love and sacrifice, born from the crucible of the Cold War. The legacy of the Pedro Pan children continues to resonate today, a stark reminder of the human cost of political upheaval and the lengths parents will go to ensure their children's freedom. Explore how another covert operation shaped the lives of thousands by watching our next video.